Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second edition of the Overwatch League Mid-Season Podcasters Panel. Brought to you by, I don't know, basically every Overwatch podcast that's ever existed.
Except Tactical Crouch.
Yeah, I'm
And
not making
Oversight.
any
Brought
comments.
to you by Tactical Crouch.
I'm not
I
making
like
any comments. I was not involved in the in recruiting people for the show. I was not asked to do so, so I didn't. But
Poor Totem tries to do something nice and then gets
right.
beat up for that.
Well, I do want to start out by shouting out Totemly Drunk, one of the OGs of Overwatch and Blizzard podcast, for that matter, for setting this up, for getting everyone together. I know from personal experience how hard it is to coordinate the calendars of even just 3 or 4 people, let alone 20 different people across multiple time zones across the world. So just a round of applause for Totem for setting this up.
Nice job, Totem.
A great effort. I'm really glad and honored that I was asked to host this and that we get to do this. One thing I do want to note, we are going to be talking about all things Overwatch, everything that's happened in this little bit of downtime that we're now afforded after the All-Star break of Overwatch League. We are going to be trying to do these a panel similar to this in between every stage. So if you do like this, make sure to let us know what you do like, what you don't like, so that we can make the next one even better for you. But without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce everyone, and we'll do some introductions for everyone that is on the panel today. I guess I'll start off because I'm already talking and I'm the host here. I am the Blevins from High Noon Podcast. I've been doing competitive Overwatch coverage for longer than Overwatch has been out as a game, technically. This BlizzCon will be our 4-year anniversary. So really crazy that I've been able to do this for so long and have met so many amazing people along the way. Next up, from the Overwatch League Network, we have the one and only Spider.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here after the craziness that was last week. I hope we can live up to the standards that they set of, hour-long talks of Houston Outlaws, and we have the other half of the Mayhem fan base here, so we can get their take on the things. So I've been covering Overwatch.
Yeah, we're more
Overwatch
realistic,
Network,
though.
And I'm happy to do a podcast with Bob. Finally, I never got to do a podcast with Bob.
Oh, this is our first time. Yeah.
So
This is cool.
Now that I've got that out of the way, now I can trash talk him and be like, man, I've done the podcast with Bob. I'm moving on now.
Yeah, but have you done the completely by chance business phone call with Bob? Because
No, that is your title only.
Oh,
And
dude, yeah.
as we
You
talked
should
about
tell
in-
that story real quick.
that literally happened.
I'm sitting there on this call, and I'm not going to mention the companies. We'll leave that completely out of it.
It's also
But,
completely mundane and not interesting
right.
whatsoever.
Just normal, boring work shit. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's name is John Blevins, which, by the way, on a company call, the podcaster that everybody's talking about has such a great setup. It's like, oh, my mic doesn't work. Oh, my phone's not working. Oh, my camera's not working. I'm like, how does his shit not work?
I'm at work. I'm not here.
So,
Because I care about this stuff.
then I message him on
if my
Twitter,
job
like,
is listening, I love my job. Please don't fire me.
I messaged him on Twitter, and he's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I can just talk to you about Overwatch during this completely boring call. And I don't remember what the call was about now. I know it's something work related, but I just remember talking shit about Overwatch the whole time. So that's my out of
That's such a
podcast
great
experience
random.
with the Blevins.
Yeah,
awesome.
I just remember you going, I know a John Blevins, and
Yep.
my mic wasn't working at the time because I'm an idiot and didn't unmute it. But I learned it for. Okay, I did learn it for this. I thought it might have been muted on the stream, like legitimately. That would have been hilarious. But thank you, Spider. Next up from the Omnic Weekly, we have Hannah joining us from
Hi-yo.
somewhere far away because it's
Yeah.
you said it's 3 a.m. for you right now?
Okay, so yeah, I'm Hannah. I live in the UK, so for me it's 3:45 in the morning.
Oof. Now,
So
is it super
I'm-
late for you right now, or is it super early for you right now?
I'm kind of right on the border. I think once it gets to like 4:30, it's then super early. But right now, it's still super late. In case you haven't heard of us, the Omnic Weekly's been going for about a year now. We had our year anniversary a couple of weeks ago. So we're kind of new to this. We haven't met up with everyone yet, so this is kind of big for us.
Yeah.
Well, we are absolutely happy to have you. And while we're talking about
Thank
the
you.
Omnic Weekly, let's introduce your other host, LP.
How's it going, everybody? I'm LP. I've been in the Omnic Weekly since I think I started in like episode 10, Hannah, if you can kind of like remind me.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the episodes, but I also do events for the Mayhem. I'm the events guy. And founder of the Chaos Crew, if anybody knows what that is. We're one of the supporters crew in the Overwatch League, you know, supporting with the other squads like Five Deadly Venoms. Shout out to those guys, Lone Star Vanguard, and all those squads out there. So here I am, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for setting this up.
I love how he puts less emphasis on his official Overwatch League position.
Yeah.
Hi.
I don't want to shout it out too much. I'm just here. I'm a normie. I'm a normie.
But you know, there's
I'm a
this
normie, but if
favorite
any of you say
favorite.
anything bad about the Overwatch League, you will have a cease and desist right to your house. It's
Don't say
okay.
anything
XQC,
I've
defred.
already Bob, you realize I am going to be keeping track, and you will be losing points that are on the payload the next time you're there. I've got it. I've got it written down. I got it written down.
Is it gonna start out with like -10?
Yeah. God, I'm like before in the pre-show, I'm like, okay, I don't want this to go too long. We're gonna be at an hour before we even finish the introductions.
I'm here all
My
day.
fault. But let's move along here. From the Mayhem Maniacs podcast, we've got Panda Reject.
Hey, I'm Panda Reject. I'm basically the editor. I've been on podcasts basically since it started, and we talk about the mayhem as much as we can without getting too angry. Because
It's hard to do.
So not at all.
We've had some good news recently and some very confusing news to talk about, but yeah, we talk about everything Florida Mayhem as much as we can, including speculation on like stuff that we can and cannot talk about, like where are we going to put our stadium? Which has been a question 3 times in a row recently, but yeah, we try to figure that all out.
I do have a question for you. On your podcast, do you say one thing and then like a month later go, well, actually, we're going to do the complete opposite just to follow like the team standards that they've set forward?
Oh, no. See, what normally happens is we record the podcast and then an hour later they announce everything. And we're like, oh, okay, cool, thanks.
That's
Thanks for
every podcast ever.
That's
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
It's even
Yeah.
worse because we've got Bare Hands chiming, like I've got Bare Hands messaging me on Discord during the show, and I'm like, "Oh, can we talk about this?" He's like, "No, it's coming out. It's coming out in 3 days." I'm like, "Okay, well, great, thanks." Good stuff. Thank you for being here, Panda. From the Push the Point podcast, we've got the one and only Labasco.
Hello, thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here with everybody. Like you heard, Push the Point podcast is the podcast I'm on with Ramses. He was on the other panel. We're a podcast. We just cover a bunch of the major storylines going on with Overwatch League players. You know, whatever news there is around Overwatch, that's what we cover. Me personally, I come from a casting background and have decided to jump into doing podcasts too for some reason. So here I get to be with all of you awesome people. So it's so fun so far. We're super new. We just finished recording episode 10, so we're just getting started, me and Ramses.
Very good, very good. Hey, everyone's got to have an episode 10 before you have an episode. So many that you don't even remember how many you've done. I don't even know. 164 maybe, I think was the last one. I don't know.
Wow.
I forget.
I think after the 30 mark, you forget which number you're on.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like what we were talking. I was probably talking about how we were probably complaining about how there was IDDQD the player, not the team. And how, I don't know. We're going way back. We're going way back with.
There was the team and the player, and it was confused. Yep.
Yeah, and hexagrams was so good. I need to have like a throwback OG podcast where we talk about the Gosu Gamers Weeklies only.
That was my guy.
So good. But we've also got from the Broverwatch, Calder.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Calder. Adam was on the other one before this. We basically are just a casual podcast because we're not great at analyzing the game, but we do sometimes. We just like to have fun and make jokes about it and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Sounds more fun than analyzing. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, analyzing is it's dumb.
Hey,
it's a dumb
dude,
thing. It's a fool's errand.
if Bren can analyze, you can analyze.
That's true.
Wow.
Okay.
Fired.
Bren, I'm sorry. I will buy you a drink for that.
You just got to do what you love, man. We appreciate it.
Might
Up
need
next.
to buy him more than one.
Yeah. I've heard he can throw him back.
Oh yes.
Oh, he's fun. He's a good time.
Yes.
He's a good time.
But speaking of good times, up next we've got from the Owl Recap, Blazing Bob.
Hi, my name is Bob, and I'm an owlaholic. You're
How
also
long
supposed
have you
to say
been
hi,
waiting
Bob.
to say that?
Hi,
How
Bob.
long have you been waiting to say that?
I
Was it before or after the
literally
call started?
thought of it halfway through your guys' introduction. I was like, I'm going to put my own spin on this. But yeah, no, I'm from Owl Recap, formerly of Watchpoint Radio. I do Owl by the Numbers. I really love the Overwatch League, and we like to talk about it. But yeah, the podcast, basically, it does some analysis. We usually have a guest on every week. We just talk. I mean, we're kind of like Push the Point. We talk storylines and basically whatever Mel feels like, usually what it boils down
Outlaws.
to.
So I was going to talk about the Outlaws, right?
She definitely tries to get it in. Luckily, I'm the host, so I just move it along, but definitely tries.
Yeah, I know that game all too well. Just trying to gloss over the Outlaws talk as much as possible, but end up devoting entire weeks of shows on it.
They're the New York Knicks of the Overwatch League. They're a shitty team that everybody talks about for no reason. That's all I got to say about the Outlaws.
That is
Well, and it's just hard to look
very
away
apt.
from a train wreck. If they started out suck, it would be one thing, but they did really well in season 1, and they went from suck to blow.
Really well.
Yes, exactly. In quotes.
Oh, yes, that is where they went for sure.
Okay, we're talking about them now. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
I can't say
Yeah,
anything.
you're
I'm a
reading
Florida
into
fan.
it.
I can't say shit.
Oh, you can say plenty. It's like
Glass
Florida
houses
fan.
and stones, my friend.
Although to be the Knicks, they have to have money, and that's one thing that the Outlaws.
Okay, yeah, all right. Valid point. You have to be stupid with your money.
Best things in life are free.
Let's just not talk about the Outlaws instead. That's my choice. That's my vote. Any objections? Oh, that's great. I
No.
think so.
Really quickly, I should do a special shout out. We are a three-part podcast. It's Hannah, I, and D. I didn't mention him, but he's all the way in Belgium right now. Hannah had the unfortunate situation of being here on this podcast with me while D's away sleeping in bed right now.
Oh, so jealous.
So lucky.
So jealous.
So
Shout out
lucky.
to
Yeah,
D.
I am jealous plethora of accents you have on that podcast. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
So good.
More of them, less me.
Last up here from Overtakes, we've got Misfit.
What's going on? Hey, guys. So we do kind of a podcast. It's kind of we try to do it like a sports radio, kind of just going back and forth, talking about matches and players and, just whatever comes to mind. We don't like really go by a script. We just kind of like watch the matches and then we just kind of dive into things. We're starting to do more. We started more on a YouTube and we're doing kind of YouTube videos and we're going more into streaming and more of like long form podcasting now. So we actually got to kind of do a format, and it's kind of weird and stuff like that. But it's good to be here. I'm glad to be hanging out with all you guys. I like listen and watch and check all you guys out. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to dive into all this stuff.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a culmination of many minds melding, many of us meeting, many of us know each other already, but many of us meeting for the very first time, so very excited for this. One last one here. He may be coming a little bit late, but we've got I Play Games from Omnic Lab and Owl Recap. Of course, not reading the correct time and having to work, et cetera, et cetera. But he may be joining at some point, so we may get a random. We may get
happens.
a random iPlay.
I might be there, dude.
no comment on that impression, but let's move on.
I do him all the time. We play games daily.
Oh, I know. That may be the problem with how. Never mind. Before we get too deep into that, let's go on and talk here. I'm just going to start it off big here, folks, because this is what's been talked about for almost this entire season now, coming into this season. Goats, it's boring. People don't like it, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, look, I got my goat shirt on.
I can't believe you said such a bad word on the podcast.
I know. I'm saying the G word here.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
It's bad.
Oh God, Bob! I wish I had
sorry,
my
dude,
shame
I'm
bell. I
full
wish
of
I had.
that right now.
Actually, hold on. Do I have my? I do. I have my shame bell ready
Shame.
for you.
Shame. Shame.
In the vein of that, there's been much talk about the 2-2-2 lock discussion being implemented in Overwatch League, and let's just tackle it here. Is the 2-2-2 to support 2 DPS 2 tank lock? Is that something that's good for Overwatch League? Is it a great idea? Is it a terrible idea? What do you think about it? Spider, let's start with you here, bud.
Oh boy, I've only ranted about this on our show for like the past 3 weeks, and then Toto had to cut me off this current week because I was really going off the rails. So I'll keep it restrained. 2-2-2 is a good thing. It should be implemented based on previous esports, and everybody else can argue about it from there. But I really think it's a good idea. I think Goats is getting a little stale now. I know the pro players are tired of it. I know Reddit's tired of it. I know everybody else really doesn't care that much based on viewership numbers, at least right now. But I am tired of talking about it. So yes, implement 2-2-2 immediately so I can stop, talking about 3-3.
I mean, I'm gonna just put out the idea that 2-2-2 isn't the best idea in the world, just because of how limiting it can be. But for the pros, I think it's probably the best thing that could happen to them, because you look in contenders and you see all these people playing DPS, and once they get picked up by an Overwatch League team, they're going to be on a support or a tank that they don't really know how to play. Hell, Seagull went from the Genji god to a diva player when he was on Season 1 because somebody else could play Genji slightly better than him, so he had to learn diva while Mickey learned how to play Brig. And 2-2-2 might be the solution, but I think it'd actually be better off if you had a one lock. Like 1 tank, 1 support, 1 DPS, and then everybody else could flex.
But then the problem is you just get Sombra Goats then.
Yep.
Well, the problem, I'm a big...
that was literally my argument to Nate.
Yep.
Opening
That's what I
week
said
was
last
the
week.
1-1-1-3, and then when we went a couple weeks in, I was like, shit. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
But maybe if they made
Sombra
other
Goats.
DPSs useful, then it would help too. Because every other DPS just shoots things.
But really, the reason that I think 2-2-2 is the way to go is for the developers. Overwatch doesn't have a ton, and okay, you cut down to a 2-2-2. All of a sudden, the variables they have to take into account get cut not in half, exponentially. I mean, it's a number that's 4,000 times what it would be if you just went to a 2-2-2. I feel it would make the game better in the long run. Yeah, it'd be weird to start, but after a year, I think it'd be super healthy.
It would. I
Would
mean,
you-
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, would you have it in competitive and quick play as well then?
Yes.
I would have it in
across the board?
competitive, not quick play.
Okay.
Oh, not quick play. Yeah, competitive, because the longevity of esports is always dependent on people watching somebody do something crazy and then translating that to what they can do at home. And right now, even when GOATS was popular on the ladder, it still never filtered down past, I'd say, Masters in any like applicable level. Whereas 222 can.
Sorry, I was just saying, and just think about this in your own terms. How many friends do you play with where you're like, I totally want to play with them if they're playing support, or I totally want to play with them if they're playing tank. They get a little tilted. I'm going DPS. You just wouldn't have that problem.
I don't know. How many games do I queue with you, Bob?
You don't. You have never queued with me. I've tried to get you to queue with me, but like, then you just wouldn't, that awkward conversation of, dude, I don't know if going DPS is the best idea and leaving us with one support. You just wouldn't have that conversation.
I mean, I used to play with a guy who only played Reaper, so yeah, I know what you're talking about right there. But yeah,
Wait,
no.
Did you used to play with me?
No.
Seasons
maybe.
Seasons 1 through 4. Yeah. I literally only like 250 hours on Reaper, season 1 through 4.
Oh, yeah. Back when you could let it rip.
See, I'm all for the 222 lock, but the only thing that I would be worried about, and I've heard a couple players say this on different interviews that I've seen on, is that they're just going to revert to dive, which got kind of stale after a while. But I mean, it's going to be mixed up a little bit. But I'm kind of over watching GOATS. I don't mind watching it, but
people also call season 3 or stage 3 of season 1 a dive meta, but it really wasn't. It was a sniper meta.
Yeah, that was different. That was the double sniper.
Yeah. It was the infamous quote, wasn't there? Whoever has the best Widowmaker wins the match.
Well, before that, it was whoever had the best tracer. I mean, that's always going to be the case, I think. Like, there's always going to be something. Like, right now, whoever has the best Zarya wins.
And that's the thing, is like, regardless of what you end up deciding to do, you're going to have something that people are probably not going to like. Because if you do get a 2-2-2 lock with how the meta is currently going, you're going to see a ton of bunker compositions. That's what's, especially when you look at the buffs that are coming through in the patch notes, that is going to be a comp that's already getting played. If you watch outside of Overwatch League, there's this team called Clockwork Vendetta, and they run a bunker.
They're all one tricks, right?
They're pretty much.
Labasco casted them when they got into contenders that day.
I was the one who was casting that. But the point of the fact is that they are making teams go off of GOATS because they can't play it into it right now. And now you're having these different buffs. And then if you put the 2-2-2 lock in, it changes a little bit of how they would play, but it still makes Bunker so much more viable. And if you think GOATS is boring, watching it,
Bunker's awful. I hate Bunker.
Yeah, no.
Bunker still has people shooting guns.
Yeah.
That is true.
Is it really? Is Bastion shooting a gun, or is that holding right click? It's holding right click and turning away and going to have a sandwich and then coming back.
Baptiste. I mean, Orisa, like your tank shooting.
Orisa takes skill, though. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Let me just say this. Now, I don't want to say I'm an old timer here, but some people who are listening to this show, maybe Overwatch League is their first in-depth or their first dive into competitive Overwatch. People will complain about every meta, no matter what it is.
Definitely.
Let me tell you, back in the day, it was the Fantastic Four, where every comp had Pharah, Mercy, Lucio, and I don't remember.
Oh God, the Mercy complaints! I forgot about the Mercy complaints.
Yeah, forget about what.
What about
was anyone
double
around?
Tracer, double Lucio, double Winston?
Twinson, Tucio, Trey Trey. Does anyone remember? Zenji, the old Zenji comp, where you could run two Zenyatas?
This orb just was infinite.
Yeah, like it. People are going to complain about whatever meta it is. They just want something different. Now, there is an argument to be made that GOATS is maybe more boring in and of itself than some other comps, but people are going to hate the meta regardless of what it is, because that's what we've been akin to. It's not like baseball. Well, people are bored with baseball. It's not like basketball where like, oh, all of a sudden you have to have a center. You have to have, but like people are going to hate it regardless. We need something different. And I think the unintended consequence of 2-2-2 is that it's going to it will get rid of 3-3 inherently, but what I think it's going to do is it's going to create the best thing, and I think it's going to make it less possible for there to be rock paper scissors. I think it's going to be the best thing always, and there's going to be less variation. It's like, oh well, I can't bring out this, this weird somber comp that needs 3 tanks and a somber. Like I can't do that because it's 2-2-2. I think taking away the option to have more versatility is going to create something that's even more stale. Now maybe that comp will be more entertaining to watch than goats, but people are going to hate it no matter what. So that's my thought on it, and it kind of brings us into the next little subsection we have here for 2-2-2. If we don't have 2-2-2, Overwatch League has said that they're not going to implement it, at least right now. Is there something we can do to maybe nerf tanks, increase damage for DPS? Is there some way that we can maybe get incentivize people to push off of 3-3? What can we do here?
I mean, go ahead.
I would toss it up to a lot of DPSs are kind of useless with their kit compared to what supports and tanks can do. Because what I've noticed, the reason why goats work so well is because, first of all, the survivability of tanks, the healing per second compared to like all the other tanks, to the DPS is what you've got 100 to 200 health pool versus tanks with 400, 500, and the armor. A Zarya and a Lucio stuck on payload for a couple of minutes. It could be stuck on a payload for a couple of minutes because the survivability is just so high. Meanwhile, a DPS, even Reaper, would struggle to kill them because of the payload healing, the Lucio healing, and the Zarya bubbles being rotated properly. God forbid, Soldier 76 has the only healing that could heal his teammates out of all the DPS, and even then you all have to stand in a certain circle. Like, the survivability and the objective time is what really helps keep goats alive, and unless they change something about objective time and that, I don't really see it changing without the 2-2-2 lock.
And I think history has shown us, if we do nerf tanks, all that's going to happen is all of a sudden Ball is going to be the only tank played, and it's just going to be a ton of DPS. And I don't necessarily want that either. Like, I want to see all the characters played, and I want to see teams who signed DPS, signed support, signed, tanks, be able to play all of their players.
I've always been a big proponent of, if you just make like Rhine and Brigitte's melee not pierce shields, that would be enough to fundamentally change goats enough that DPS would come back forward. Just because of the fact that the whole point is Rhine wouldn't be getting alt charge, Brig wouldn't be getting alt charge. You'd have way better shield break in pretty much any other DPS at that point. And I think that would be enough to do it. You're not fundamentally breaking Rhine. You're not breaking Brig. You're just basically balancing them around shields. Sure, it sucks to be Rhine and Brig at that point, but there are comps you could still play Rhine and Brig into at that point. So I think that would be enough to at least get the ball moving. I mean, I don't think you want to adjust time to kill values or anything like that, because some DPS time to kill values are already insanely high for any character that isn't a tank. So I don't think you want to bump DPS up. I think maybe bringing healing down as a whole might be another good idea. I think maybe bringing
that's a really good idea, actually.
I'm down with that.
That's a good idea. But yeah, I don't think you want to mess with damage numbers really anymore, because people already hate one shots, and you don't want to bring that value up anymore.
Yeah, because really what makes goats powerful is the triple support. Like, even triple support, 1 DPS, 2 tanks is still super powerful. That was the first comp that showed up for goats.
I think it can't be underestimated, though, the damage that comes from goats. It's not like goats doesn't do a lot of damage. The ability to burst down a target when you have focus fire is ridiculous. It's why the teams that are the best at it win so handily at times, because you've already got somebody down before the fight has really even started, if you're able to coordinate the way that we see teams like the San Francisco Shock and Vancouver Titans do. So healing, I think, is something that definitely would help if there was less healing. But tanks as a whole, the role of a tank is not supposed to be as a damage dealer. And I think this is one of the biggest problems, too, is that you have tanks that are built to do damage. They do so much damage. They do damage. Some of the tanks do more damage than DPS characters. So I feel like
I oftentimes have golds as Ryan and goats.
Yeah. So you have across the board this issue where your tanks do too much. Because it's not just Reinhardt who does a ton of damage. A high charge Zarya does a crap ton of damage. I mean, look at the numbers for Overwatch League right now as far as the top people who get damage. It's all of the Zarya players. So those are things that I think have to be taken care of too, where your tanks are supposed to be doing the role that they need to do, which is be a tank. So they shouldn't be doing as much damage across the board.
You just made me think of something. One thing you talked about tweaking healing and bringing healing down. Maybe bringing Transcendence healing down would be a good call. Because for the current iteration of GOATs, the lowest healer is the one with the highest heals on all GOATs teams. Zen has the highest heals, and it's because of Transcendence.
Or maybe nerf his alt charge rate so he doesn't have it every fight the way these
Yeah,
Zenyatas are playing.
Maybe
That could be
Make it harder to get it off of Discord, probably. And then, I mean, also add on top of that, GOATs is all about getting on top of the enemy team, right? And I think it's what D.Va, Roadhog, and Zarya are like in the top 10 of damage dealers over average per second in 10 meters, I think. Yeah. So, like, yeah, no, they're all bursting out a shit ton of damage, and you put that Zenyatta Discord on, of course he's going to get it every fight, right?
I'm not sure I agree about the Transcendence, though, because you can still burst through somebody while a trans is going on. I mean, we've seen how ineffective Transcendence has become now with the way that GOATS is going, too. I mean, it's just like, think of Self-Destruct right now. Like, Self-Destruct into a Graviton Surge used to be like, oh, you just won the fight. And now teams are so easily able to make the Grav Self-Destruct combo not work at all just by how they use different support ultimates and how they avoid things. So, like,
Yeah,
I don't know if trans will do enough.
For like the Grav self-destruct to work, and what most people don't realize, you need a really good Brig, or Lucio is a good secondary, like, because you have to boop the Rhine shield away or stun the Rhine at the right time.
Right.
And you don't want to mess with Transcendence too much because that hits other ultimate breakpoints, and then you'll see like Grav, Dragon come back and stuff like that. That's kind of why I was going more towards like the charge rate.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, you can talk in a vacuum, but there's a lot of other stuff that you make one tweak, and we're going to see an old meta come back real fast, like double sniper or stuff like that. And whether you want that or not, that's up to you. But you know, this is something that they're thinking about constantly. Like the breakpoints are like if you go in any like competitive like teaching course for like Overwatch, they always talk about breakpoints. Like McCree's breakpoint is this with Discord, breakpoint is this, and that's where Transcendence is right now. And the Lucio buff to sound barrier is basically what made living through self-destruct possible at this point. Between that and good Zarya shield placement can save you as well if you're an owl player. For us, probably never happen, but unless you're extremely lucky.
Occasionally,
You can save yourself if you're the Zarya.
I mean, that's selfish, but yes, you can.
That's the most important part, though, isn't it? Save yourself.
Keeping your charge is important, but it doesn't really mean anything if you can't do anything with it.
I mean, that's what Jonek lives by. Save myself with trans. That's why he's not.
Okay, to be fair, Jonek could kill all of us right now if we were trying to 1v1 him or whatever it is.
Save himself with trance, and everybody else give me all of your tools, and I'll try and kill everybody. That's the New York Excelsior way, and when it doesn't work, they fucking lose. Sorry.
Here's a radical suggestion. What if tanks and supports just didn't do damage? If
Ever?
just completely reworked. This would be a complete overhaul, basically, of the game. But like the tanks just
Then
have
you'd
different
have to have
utility
2-2-2.
options.
Because
That would be like an MMO.
and no one would play.
I was about to say, like, nobody would want to play the game. Like, people barely want to tank and support in comp. So.
I'm not talking about playing the game. I don't care about that. I'm talking about Overwatch League as a sport, okay?
So you're talking like tanks like in WoW.
The
like
defensive
literally
lineman never touches the ball, okay?
only
exactly.
if you actually pull aggro. If you're a tank, you can actually use one of your cooldowns to pull aggro, and everybody just runs at you like, like.
And they've implemented that in
fine.
MOBAs, so it could be a skill coming.
Yeah, like I mean, there are.
Give me fear in Overwatch.
You've got traditional sports. You have MOBAs where like if you play a support in League of Legends, you're not looking to get kills, or Dota, you're like trying to get kills for your DPS players. Like
Hey, You know what those have though? A roll lock.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Your
In
lane,
competitive?
if you're in a MOBA, your lane is your roll lock. You go top,
It is.
you're a tank that can brawl. If you're in mid, you're a spellcaster typically, and if you're in bottom, you got a tank, and typically you got a tank or a mage and an ADC.
Sure.
But you get that lock naturally happening. In Overwatch, that's just not going to happen.
Right.
You kind of get your character, and you vaguely fit in that circle.
Right. That's kind of the. I mean, this would be what I'm
Yeah.
suggesting is like almost a complete overhaul to the game entirely.
Yeah.
What if it was played in card form and they had mana costs and? Okay, no. How about you play?
I think
It's
it's
card. It's
profitable. You just got to make
cards.
sure to rotate the packs.
It's Lucio Ball. Lucio Ball competitive. That's what it is. We're all roll locked to be Lucio and Lucio Ball. That's what I'm saying.
And that's it. You got to score into a goal.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny though because you mentioned how football, like certain positions, don't touch the ball, which they can touch the ball.
They can.
Defensive lineman. Think of a guy by the name of Khalil Mack. He touches the ball a lot and takes it away from quarterbacks.
Graduated
So
from my alma mater, University of
Oh,
Buffalo.
That's super.
Shout out
Nice.
CUB.
So you still need them to be able to do a little bit, but this goes back to what I was saying about,
Right,
Takes
Mercy
a
has a gun, right? But like,
Exactly.
like the Mercy type character, we're like, Mercy can shoot, Mercy could kill, but how often do you have that pistol out unless you're an aggressive Mercy? Like you can be, just like you can take,
Blinky.
right? You can take certain like. I'm gonna be really outdated with my League of Legends knowledge, but you can take like certain like spellcasters and put them in the jungle. Like it's bad, right? But you can.
Well, given to any pro, they can pull off some crazy stuff. Like Blitzcrank middle has been a thing before, which is weird to watch either. But that's League, not Overwatch. We should
Right,
talk
but
about
that's what like you can do anything with these heroes, but like right now, it's like Overwatch is not like at a fundamental level. There's not what the problem is that there's not so much of a differentiation between a DPS hero and like a tank, for instance.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this is very clearly a tank. It's really like a tank does like 85% of the damage and has 100% of the health as a DPS. So it's like, obviously I'm going to pick a tank here. Like, why would I pick a DPS when I can do almost as much damage and have twice as much health? So.
Oh yeah, no, Diva's what got never-ending ammunition on shotguns versus Reaper. Which one are you gonna pick?
Right, and can block it. Like it has 2 lives. Like this, it's just not close. So like maybe my suggestion of make tanks not deal any damage. Maybe that was just a hot take here and a bold claim.
A little
But
extreme.
when we refine it down, that's why we have this panel here is to take my stupid idea and refine it into a kernel of something that's useful.
I mean,
differentiate the
in.
roles more. Where you really feel like there's a major difference between playing a DPS and playing a tank. Besides that, the DPS is just worse in 90% of the cases.
Well, it would also help too if there were more main tanks instead of all of these hybrid. And same thing with the supports. There's a lot of hybrid characters. Like you have Diva that kind of is like a little bit of both. You have Hammond that's a little bit of both. The only real main tank in the game is Reinhardt, where he's blocking damage. Maybe Orisa to an extent.
Let me ask you a question then. What makes a main tank?
Creating
To me-
space.
Yeah,
No. That's too.
no. Like a main tank.
To me, a main tank is something
Block
that
damage.
yeah, block damage, create space, create opportunities for the people that are supposed to be doing all of the damage
See, I don't see
in the comp.
I don't see a main tank as that. Someone else go.
I see main and anchor tank to be the better term here because you've got anchor tanks and you've got your mobile tanks. And basically the only anchor tanks I can think of are Reinhardt and Orisa because they say, hey, we're going to hold here and you hold that line. While your mobile tanks like Winston Hammond and Diva, they can go up to the high ground. They can go wherever you need them. And then that leaves Zarya and Roadhog to be in this awkward kind of like, you're going to just die if you get in my range zone.
Bruiser tanks.
Yes, that's the one I'm going for.
I see main tanks. The best definition that I can give for them is a character that instigates and starts the fight. Like Orisa is
So,
the
Bob, you're a main tank in
lowest
real
one
life, then.
there. Like Orissa's the lowest, but her putting down her shield on a payload starts the fight. Winston jumping onto a target starts the fight. Reinhardt putting shield up, moving in starts the fight. Hammond jumping in as ball starts the fight. Like Zarya
Widowmaker getting a
can't
pick
do that.
starts the fight.
Zarya can't do that.
Widowmaker's
Yeah,
the
but
best
Zarya
match.
can't by eating a grab into the.
Yeah, Zarya can't, Roadhog can't, Diva can't. Like
I mean,
a
Zarya
main
could with her
tank
ult.
is who
Yeah.
initiates the team fight. It doesn't have to do with blocking damage. It doesn't have to do with any of that. It's just who starts the engagement.
But by that definition, when I'm playing Lucio and I'm always out of position and die, that starts the fight because I'm just in the enemy lines trying to boop somebody.
booping somebody
Yes,
in.
anytime
Engagement
there is
tool.
a pick
I'm just a
on
really
the
bad
other
main tank.
side, yeah, anytime you're poking and there's a pick, yes, that's a fight. And then your main tank moves in, and then
Right.
the fight starts. You're just up 6-5.
Yeah.
Well, let's unpack that, because if you talk about how they initiate a fight like that, there are more characters than just tanks that can do that. Lucio is a good example. His boop,
Doom.
see it happen a lot. Doomfist is another one. So you have other initiators, but what tanks
Definitely.
But what tanks can do that nobody else can do, for the most part, though, is create space and create opportunities for those initiators who aren't main tanks, and also just for your DPS to be able to do what it is that they're supposed to do. So to me, I always see the tank's main role as being able to create space.
But off tanks can create space too, and some DPS, and just like
Right.
pointed out, Lucio's
It's
can
gonna
too.
be hard
I was
to
just
have a
trying to give
definite
you
definition.
an idea of what a main tank main role is.
Right. Which makes sense. And we could go on and on about this, but we are we spend a lot of time on this too. And I know we could go for another hour, but we do have other topics that I do want to talk about. So let us move on. We're gonna relieve the pressure valve off of Overwatch League for a little bit here, and we're gonna talk about the Overwatch Workshop, which is probably the biggest thing that's happened to Overwatch since launch. I would think. I guess with the in-game, at least. Overwatch League is arguably more, but this is the biggest new piece of content I think we've gotten for the game since it has been officially released. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on, how is this gonna? What are the possibilities for this? What are we gonna see? Is the game gonna grow? How is this gonna affect how we play ranked, etc.? Someone who has an opinion.
I don't know about you guys, but I haven't touched workshop mode. I asked my coder buddy, I'm like, how does it look to you? Do you want to program something cool for me, man? And he's like, yeah, maybe not. But I mean, like I said, I love playing the workshop modes. I've seen the Smash Bros. The McCree hot potato is a lot of fun. But other than that, I can't even touch just working on the workshop mode.
Well,
I'm loving it at the moment because, all the crazy ass modes. But one of my favorite things is just all the training modes that I can find right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It also lets me see how inferior I am to other people because they'll post their like, oh hey, here's the thing I'm doing, and they hit every shot. It's like, oh, I can do that. No, I can't.
Oh, but did you see the moving target one for Farah?
Oh yeah, no, the clay pigeon one, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one where I'm like, oh, I think I could do that. No.
I'm totally good enough for this.
I really like the Reinhardt trainer because
I think it's
there
awesome.
literally is no way to warm up with Ryan in the practice arena. It's just a little waste of time. But this is great. It's just it spawns a Ryan somewhere or somewhere in a circle around you. He either hammers or charges. You have to either shield the hammer or countercharge. And it's a really good warm up. And it's a really baseline version of it. They could throw in more characters. You could have Ryans in there. You could have Anna sleep darts in there. You could have a hack, coming up behind you. There's so many things that it could train, and it trains you listening. And I mean, it's phenomenal. It was great. I've been using it every time that I've played prior now.
Yeah, I mean that's the big draw to it. I assistant coach, like a amateur team, and we've automated scrims with it. Like you can have it auto reset maps, like do all kinds of stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool possibilities to it, and we're forgetting like the biggest upside to it, right? The biggest upside is it keeps Blevins out of competitive because he's only playing gun game.
True. True.
I mean,
Hey,
if that's how
Blevins
you
is an
move
awesome. Yes, Boyer. What are you talking about?
That is a word to use for it. Hey, all I'll say is that when I play Moira, I've got gold everywhere, including my rank.
You shot yourself in the foot there.
You're not one of those Moiras that refuses to switch because, I've got gold on damage, are you?
No,
Oh,
no one
no,
ever
I
asked me
am
to switch
totally-
because they know the
I
alternatives
am
are so
totally
much worse.
giving him-
That's
I'm totally giving him shit.
I only know how to play
that
Reaper.
at all.
You don't want me to play another character. That's the problem. I think like I'm all like this is the level 1. Like get the trainers in there. That's great. I think they can expand upon those. That's amazing. I love the fact that like if I really wanted to get better at something, like yes, you can play scrims. Yes, you can play like, but it's hard to get real scrims if I'm not like super dedicated. I don't like do a bunch of extra stuff outside of the game, like go on Reddit or Discords or already know a bunch of people. It's hard to do to get real practice like that. You can play rank. No, never play rank. That's never gonna.
I mean,
do it.
the other thing is just making sure you get warmed up before you go into ranked, because
Right.
you can't go into quick play and get that done, because who's taking quick play seriously? No. You can maybe go into one of the arcade modes,
but like
and get that
maybe
going.
Right, but
Maybe.
even then, you're not necessarily like if you think about I'll go back to traditional sports just because that's what I've done in the past. It's like if I'm practicing for basketball, like only a small fraction of my actual practice is like scrims or like playing against another team or playing, regular 5v5 basketball. So much of it is just shooting free throws. So
Drills.
much mechanics, drills, all that stuff. That just didn't exist. I mean, like you could set it up. You could set up the old all Anna's only headshot damage, so you could practice your like headshots and clicks and stuff. But like, it takes so much to get that set up, and like, it's not.
Yeah.
It only does one thing.
You can take it back to like, okay, martial arts. Like everybody that's never done martial arts is always like, why did they just punch across the room and then punch across the room back? Why did they kick across the room, kick across the room back? Because it's mechanics. It's literally it's training muscle memory. So when you're attacked, just react. You don't think, and like that's what makes Overwatch so cool, is because it's a lot of mechanics and a lot of thinking.
And I mean, to go off of that, it's like if you play Zarya, you hear the Reinhardt charge and you just hear someone get picked up. You turn, you put that bubble to save them, and then you turn back to whatever else you were doing. Like, it's training your brain like that real quick. But the other thing I would also like to mention with the workshop is I love the fact that all of the maps can be saved to these tiny codes, because that just saves so much time.
So much.
Yeah.
Because there is no way I'd be able to reprogram half of the list. Because I tried opening up one of the ones and like, oh, how did they do this? And I look through the list of commands. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know how any of this works.
Another big factor on it is for the people that truly believe that they can balance the game better than the developers. So in custom games before, we had bring damage down, bring healing, bring health back, healing up, yada yada yada. But with the workshop, you could have made the change that just recently happened to Diva, where you make Matrix 10 meters instead of 15. You make Brig stun 6 meters instead of 8. Like these types of things could actually, you get the really hard cores, and they might be able to prove to the developers like, hey, this is better, and you might see that change in game. It just helps everybody out.
You can have Ash shoot Torbjorns out at people too.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
you
why
can
not?
do it.
Hammer
The
Torbjorns.
world is your oyster.
And I think that's another thing that we haven't really covered yet, is that this isn't just something that's going to be so useful and so great for the competitive side. The casual side of the game, this is an awesome boon. This is, for those of us who grew up playing StarCraft back in the day or Warcraft, use map settings was one of my favorite things when I would play those games. And basically, this is what Workshop allows you to do. So there's already a ton of cool modes that have come out from it. Don't forget, too, the popular MOBA games that we have, they were a spawn of a use map settings thing called Defense of the, against the Asian.
Yeah.
So
In Warcraft 3. Yep.
I mean, the only put I put in that
original Defense of the Ancients. But we're talking about casuals. I want to hear what Calder has to say, because he said that his podcast was for casuals.
So, I've played around with a lot of the workshop modes because I just find them insane how people can make them. I looked at the editor and I was like, I know 4 people that can do this, but one of them's not me at all. So, one I've been playing a lot on stream and just with my friends is this upgrade mode. So it's like a tycoon mode where you go kill people, get money, go back to a shop, upgrade your abilities, and then you basically just try to become a god. And
GTA 5.
Yeah. And you can just spend so much time going through these game modes playing like Agario, and
they have Agario
insanely
on there?
fun.
Oh
Yeah.
there's a Flappy Bird Pharaoh mode.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
Saw that.
Torbjorn
saw
Golf.
that. Super Smash Brothers.
Somebody recreated Quake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Someone
saw
made
that.
fucking Uno, guys.
We're done.
You got Uno Simulator now?
Yeah, like you play around Ilios well. I saw that.
How do you play Uno?
Watch it. It's amazing.
I gotta
weird.
fire this up.
Someone did like a whole the old Wii bowling. They set it up where it's like Doomfist shooting Hammond into like 10 Torbjorns.
Why is Torbjorn the place marker here?
that's like
Torbjorn's like the official, like just the pins,
He's the
I don't know. He's like the beat-on boy in Workshop, I guess.
Wait. So have you ever played Elf Bowling? Because that's
Yeah, it's
exactly
pretty much
what I
that.
think of. Yeah.
Like somebody made like Portal with Symmetra. Like they actually had like the actual portal gun working with Symmetra.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I saw that one too.
That-
Like one of the ones I played that I really liked. It was like a weird, like it was on. I think it was Horizon, where you're playing Diva, and it's kind of like a Starfighter kind of mode.
Oh,
I
yeah,
kind of
you're
like
a- you're
Starfighter
in the moon
Deathmatch.
area?
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all kind of fun, but I want to see where these guys go, because like eventually someone's going to create like a training mode, or they're going to create something like a game mode or a hero, like a setup for a hero that's going to eventually end up in the game. And I like the fact that they opened it up to everybody to just do this. I mean, one of the things I want someone to do is I always wanted the payload to have kind of like in Retribution, where you get the damage on the payload.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
when you're playing escort, if you're on attack or on defense, and maybe you can't stop them, but if you damage the payload enough to where they have to repair it, it stops it for a certain amount of time. And there's just like certain things like that. I thought,
that's the change Overwatch League needs. We need to be able to stop the payload without getting on it.
yeah. Well, it doesn't matter now. They play goats. It's not like they have Genji and Tracer anymore.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it as a future counter to Bunker.
Yeah, basically.
You've been talking to Flame.
Wait,
No, we're just gonna play goats.
talking to Flame, I didn't think that these were too bad of ideas, Bob. I mean, that must not.
Oh
have been
no.
talking to Flame.
No, Flame's whole argument about goats is that you can't stand on the payload with DPS. The whole thing where he was like, "Get out!"
How many Genjis have you seen on the payload?
None.
I'm just gonna halt that. I'm just gonna pull out my
Domin's right.
IRL
Why
Arissa
don't you
and
just
halt
stand
this
there so they can get
conversation
healed?
before we talk more about the Outlaws.
Yeah.
Wait, how was that gonna be outlaw? Whatever.
Flame,
If the Outlaws come up, we just have to stop.
yeah.
Okay. Heard.
But one other, so I think we're all in agreement that the Overwatch Workshop is cool. It's got a lot of great things for both competitive as well as casual players. The one thing that I've seen floated around and I've kind of thought about a little bit, but I'm interested to hear your guys' opinion on is, does so let's imagine that something like Dota, like Defense of the Ancients or Auto Chess or one of these mods just completely blows up. Like it's a full-fledged game, it's amazing, and everyone's playing it. It's more popular than even the base game of Overwatch. How does this affect Overwatch as a game, as a franchise negatively? If fewer people are playing ranked and are playing this instead, does this affect the game in any way? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Without something like Hammer, which is the way that you were able to like make completely change maps,
Yeah,
I don't see a new mode coming in.
Assume that this is like years in the future potentially.
Yeah.
Like it's possible to do that.
Yeah, like unless it's something like the gun game mode, which is now Hero Gauntlet in the queue now, like that's the only one I can see, but that's easily going to get inserted into the All-Star games. And hopefully they'll invite more people so we can see more people go through that gauntlet of trying to fight each other and figure that out.
Why they didn't have that in the All-Star game this time around, I have no clue.
They must have just missed it, in all honesty. Like, they probably didn't want to put it out.
It's not like Gun Game isn't... Gun Game is literally like 20 years old. I mean, come on.
Yes?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you not want to see Fisher go from player to player to player? Or
no, that's what I'm saying. They could have put it in the game because the mode is like 20 years old. It's like, oh, we just missed it. Sorry, Gun Game just came out. No, it's like older than I am. Okay,
they had it in PTR during it.
But no, like, do you want to put that on stage and it fail midstream?
No, I just want the developers to work better. I always
be having a blast.
It wouldn't fail. It'd be great to see someone that you wouldn't expect win, like, you know, someone like Ameng or something like that. Just go through the gauntlet and beat all of these guys that you're expecting to, you know, be like DPS gods or something like that. I think
clearly it would have been
awesome.
37 because he would be speed running through the entire thing as fast as possible.
Yeah,
it would have been Bumper. Come on, we all know it would have been Bumper.
Sleeping on the guy Gesture who beat the
yeah, this is true.
Maker.
True. All right. Well, that's I think the Overwatch Workshop, personally, from my standpoint, I talked about something like this literally before the game was out of open beta, or before it was in open beta, rather. When they announced like, oh, this Overwatch is going to be developed with its own system, like it's not using its own engine, rather. It's not using Unreal Engine. It's like, oh, they could open it up and do custom maps. That would be really cool because like Dota and Warcraft 3 do that, and it's over 3 years later. Or we just had the 3-year anniversary for Overwatch.
Right before it.
Yeah. So I'm happy that it's here. I'm very excited to see what they do with it. I just hope I hope that the standard Blizzard perfectionism and the corporate overlordedness of Activision doesn't get in the way of a cool product like the Workshop. But let's turn the pressure valve back up in Overwatch League and talk about the second half of Overwatch League. Obviously, we have done the first 2 stages for Season 2, and we are moving into the second half here. We'll start it off here by kind of piggybacking on our discussion before with 222. As of right now, 3-3 seems to be the way of the meta for the foreseeable future. If that's the case, are we like just locked and loaded seeing Shock Titans finals for the rest of Overwatch League forever? Like, is this our fate now?
I mean, low-key fate on Mayhem?
Yes.
No.
Fate on Mayhem is technically true.
I mean, like
that seems like a non sequitur.
I mean, okay, yes, that's a non sequitur, but honestly, like there are trades moving around. Like the league is still changing, so I'm not going to say like, oh yes, it's locked that Shock and Titans have to happen. But I'm going to have a little bit of hope that the Justice, the Mayhem, the Valiant are going to get some stuff together, so then they can go slightly either slightly further up, win a few more games, shake some things up, because once the Titans start losing games in any way, shape, or form, that's really where you can tell. Because what was it? The Dynasty was the people who we thought were going to make it to the top, and then Spitfire kind of like undercut them at the last second and made it to the finals, or won the finals. I'm remembering that right.
Are we talking stage 1 of last season?
I'm trying to remember which order. I'm mixing it up again, but like
coming into the season, everyone thought the Dallas Fuel, who was formerly Envious, and the Seoul Dynasty, who were Lunatic High, were going to be the top 2 teams.
And then
that was the consensus, and it just did
and
not.
Then they got Kai-Kai'd.
Kai-Kai'd and the Seoul Dynasty were just like, let's just roll the dice and see who we're going to play today.
And well, they kind of went Korean. Their coach was kind of the Korean Kai-Kai, so it went the same way. Mm-hmm. Putting Rouge Hong on main tank, kind of like Taimu. It was just doing weird shit. Same thing, more or less.
Yeah, but do we need? Is it going to be trades that fuel this change? Is it going to be teams adapting? I mean, are there? If everything stayed the same today, are we just gonna like? Is there anything in the like? What can we see here? I mean, I'm not complaining because these stage finals have been great, and I do like the story, even though neither of them are my team. I do like the story of like, hey, these two, no pun intended, titans of Overwatch League now keep seeing each other in the finals here. It's a cool story, just like it was cool the first 3 times that Cleveland played against Golden State in the finals for NBA.
Then it just gets stale.
It gets stale, exactly. So
it's kind of a microcosm because it's all happening in such a smaller amount of time too. I mean, I feel like it's different with that because to me it feels like teams are. It's not like the Shock or the Titans do anything special in GOATs that put them so far above everyone else. They just run it better. These are things that coaching staffs and players should be able to figure out and give them a run for their money. Like, it's teamwork and cohesion that make GOATs work. It's not ridiculous skill, because if it was all about ridiculous skill, then the NYXL would still be a team that people fear, and obviously that's not the case. So I think it's more the onus is on the other teams to catch up to them than it is for like something drastic to change, because with how good those teams are and how well they're coached for Titans in San Francisco, I feel like they'd still be at the top regardless of what the meta is.
Do you feel like they're going to do you feel like any team's going to be able to level up to their level with them increasing in skill constantly as well?
I think so. I think that there's coaching staffs that are good enough that they can get these teams to a point where they can at least challenge them. Like, they should at least be able to challenge them, right? Like that is something that shouldn't be seen out of the realm of possibility. It's not like San Francisco and except for Vancouver. Vancouver had way more time in GOATs than any Owl team, but San Francisco, none of their players had more time in GOATs than any of the other teams that are currently in the league. So I feel like a lot of what happens is people making excuses for other teams' inability to get their teams on the right page to be competitive.
Basically, San Francisco bought in.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think you're
what
grossly overestimating the talent pool in coaching in the Overwatch League. I think most of them have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm agreeing with
I'm
you.
saying a couple of them can. I don't think
a couple of them, not a lot of them.
Yes.
I think that's also partial.
A lot of the you had your turn, buddy. All right. The problem is a lot of the teams that are making moves are almost statistically eliminated from the season playoffs at this point. Anyway, like, you talk about the mayhem and you're all optimistic.
No. You're talking about making moves. He's talking about just coaching.
Right. But
like, those
we're
are
talking
two
long
different sides of the coin.
Right, we're talking long term. Like, is it going to be Shock Titans Grand Finals? Sure, these lower teams, the Outlaws, the Mayhem, the Traffic Light Trio, as they've dubbed them, they are making good moves.
Fantastic.
Some of the teams.
I was going to say, the ones that are making moves.
Right, the ones that are making moves are making good moves, but it might be too little too late. Yeah, it's up for
And with goats, it's the problem with making moves when you're with goats is it's so much communication, so much coordination, and it's worth it to a point, but you can't expect it to work. Like if you look at the two of the teams that dropped off in stage 2, Atlanta and Toronto, the Toronto lost Stellar, who was a fantastic Brigida. You had to replace that. That didn't work. And, even though he wasn't maybe necessarily the greatest, but DeFran left Atlanta, and they had to fill him in with they had to put Baby Band. You had to learn different players' play styles. And this, it's not like last year when, okay, so say your DPS guy leaves and you bring in like another guy that's really good on Genji, like Philadelphia, for instance. They brought in EQL and put him in over Shadowburn, and he just like dominated. That doesn't happen with this. There's so much coordination. Even if you're making trades and stuff like that, it's not going to bring you up to another level. You have to almost take what you have, and if you're a good coach, you have to coach them up. Because if bringing in other people, you're learning, like the Mayhem. I'm a big Mayhem fan. So you bring in Fate. I'm excited about it. But are they going to be able to work around him? Probably not. You're going to lose 4 games to start. 4 more games to start.
I would say,
and then you think about Mayhem trying to take and turn all Korean.
Well, they had a
based in Florida. Like, how are you going to pull talent? Like Seoul can pull. Like Seoul can always say, "We'll go all Korean." Even the Chinese teams could. But in Florida, like, how are you going to entice those?
I mean, the advertisement is that it's easier
a
to
bunch of money. Like, it's absurd to me. Like what Bare Hands has done.
Well, they could have actually they could have had a good mix. Honestly, they could have had a good mixed roster with their contenders team and what they had going on.
Hell yeah, they could. Why
they could have
Korean in North America? Like, how are you going to talk those guys into coming when they have when they have offers in the East?
I live in Cleveland. Sports dumb fuckery is just pretty much the way of life.
It's like
here.
the opposite of sports magic. It's
have you seen Florida in general? We got the Bucks. We got the Tampa Bay Rays. We traded away our best player. We got the Lightning who threw in the first week.
But you have Mickey Mouse, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, not to mention our fucking our state champions that had the weakest schedule possible. That's a thing. But yeah, no, like Florida's made some weird decisions, and like I don't agree with all of them. But you know what? If I agreed with every decision in sports he made, some weird life choices would have been had. But it'll be interesting to see Fate, because I think Fate will be a good replacement for what we have with Swan. And maybe
Swan
together. I don't know if Swan's the one who's out or not. Like, it's really weird to know exactly what their plan is, and like, we'll still have Zephyr on. I don't know if Hagopun and Zephyr and all that is still working itself out, because like in the last few games, I could tell that Zephyr and Hagopun were not in sync at all because they would never cover each other.
Yeah,
but like Swan would just do whatever Swan was doing, and that was something.
He's like a D-level bumper. I'm just he's quick play main tank. I'm just gonna dive in and die.
I mean, compared to in Overwatch League, yeah, no, he's definitely the QP one.
I mean, I think Mayhem was solely responsible for Nate leaving the Overwatch League.
or the Outlaws, it's one or the other.
I just jumped into the crazy. So this is the reason. This is the real reason why Nate left for Fortnite, guys. Because of Mayhem.
I thought you were going to say this right here.
Yeah, I was expecting like a big punchline there. I thought it was going to, because on our podcast,
I was just trying to give Blevins a transition. That's all I was trying to do.
It's literally because of this podcaster panel that he's leaving.
Bob, that was trying to fit a square block into a round hole if I ever saw it.
He started
That was Bob. That was Bob throwing me the alley-oop from half court, but he used a bowling ball, and we were actually playing golf, so it made no sense. But regardless, I'm still going to dunk it.
Main tank of quick play.
Yeah, that is literally true. That's why I have to play Moira, Bob, because no one else has high enough heals per second to keep your right heart alive.
That is true. That is true.
I have to shift to follow you because you shift in, and I'm just holding down left click to heal you the whole time.
I don't ever. I only charge about 5 meters unless I miss the corner.
Oh, are you one of those ones you miss the corridor and then you go flying off the map?
I usually don't go flying off the map into the enemy team. I'm like, sorry. I was trying to hit the corner.
That's why I somehow get platinum healing, even though that's not even a medal you can get. But as was how ever so eloquently mentioned, Nate Nazer has announced that he is officially leaving the Overwatch League, and it has been unofficially confirmed that he, or at least it has been unofficially reported that he is going to Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, and now the owner, or at least part owner, of Psyonix, who makes Rocket League.
Something like that.
I don't know the exact relationship, but they are involved with Rocket League in some capacity as well. So, I mean, what does this mean for the league, guys? I mean, he was the one that ushered in the Overwatch League. He's been essentially the official voice of the Overwatch League. It was, as far as we know, it was kind of his brainchild in a lot of ways. So, I mean, what does this mean for Owl moving forward? And, you know, what do we have to expect here?
IM37 finishing his speed run by becoming the commissioner. That's all I got.
Yeah,
It's coming.
Maybe he could make Fortnite a competitive game. I mean, maybe.
It's had tournaments before.
I think he said more for. I think it's more, honestly, him going there is maybe more for Rocket League to make it more into a format like Overwatch League, to kind of bring it up a little bit. I mean, that's my thought on that. I mean, I really didn't like to see him go because I thought he did a lot. I mean, everybody slams him here and there, but, you know, he brought this whole thing together. Mm-hmm. I mean, with a bunch of people, but I think he's going to be missed a lot in this. And whoever they bring in, I think they're bringing in someone from Activision that's doing the Black Ops city-based league, from what I heard.
Mm-hmm. I heard it's Pete Blaselica.
Yeah, and he was CEO. Yeah, he was CEO of the esports, and he's been dealing with Overwatch League since its beginning as well. He's just not the forefront like Nate was. So he's
Wait, somebody link me the guy, would you?
Pete
In our chat.
So here's my thought on it.
Sorry, I think I might know him.
I didn't see anything about who was replacing him, but I'm just trying to think. So if I'm Nate Nazer and I'm the guy for Overwatch League, it was in a lot of ways his baby, essentially, you know, his brainchild that he grew from essentially nothing and really brought up to the forefront. What motivations do you have to leave Overwatch League and go to anything else? So if it's, whether it's Rocket League, whether it's Fortnite, I can see a reason why you would want to be that, but like, why would you, why do you make that lateral move from
money?
Do you think it's just money? Do you think it's just a straight paycheck?
I mean,
There's gotta be money.
Maybe they wouldn't give him the 2-2-2 lock. Maybe it's something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's been making a push for something behind the scenes that we don't know about. Maybe he wanted the regional games a lot sooner, I thought. But then they got pushed from season 2 to season 3.
No, season
was it always season 3?
Yeah, season 3 was the original plan.
And right before regional games too. That was another one of his brainchilds.
Yeah, he had a huge push there, but maybe he got something. Maybe there was a huge argument, and he just kidding. He
looked at
I don't think so.
Infrastructure and said, "I'm not dealing with that."
See,
Yeah.
I
think there's some of that stuff going on.
I have to agree with Blaze and Bob here. Epic paychecks. That's all I gotta say.
I've
that's gotta be
talked to
something.
Nate multiple times. He loves the Overwatch League. He lived and breathed it. We talked for hours at the opening week. I mean, he loved this. There is there's no way that he leaves this just for a sideward move. Like they had to pay him a ton of money, and it was probably an extremely hard call for him. That's my take from the time I've spent with him.
What if they just gave him a creator code?
That's still probably a lot of money, honestly.
No,
that was a good one. That was a good one. That was a
People are
good one.
using it.
Yeah, I play games. Who hasn't showed up to the panel? Like, talk to me. Like when I was talking to him a day or two ago, he was like, they probably gave him ownership in the company, like not just a huge paycheck, but like literal stock in the company.
So, since we've been bringing a lot of things to traditional sports, I'm going to bring up somebody who some people may know if they're a Boston Red Sox fan or a Chicago Cubs fan, who is the head of both, who was the head of Boston, then became the head now of the Chicago Cubs. And why am I forgetting his name now? Gosh, I am doing. It's always great when you blink, just like that.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name either. That's the worst part.
Yeah. God, I regardless though, he was the general manager for the Boston Red Sox and helped end their streak of not winning, right? Now he's from Boston. He is a Boston fan. He helped Boston reach the promised land. His job was assured for the rest of his life as long as he wanted it. But he still goes to the Chicago Cubs. Theo Epstein.
There you go.
Epstein, yeah.
Okay, so Theo Epstein is this guy who's the biggest Boston fan, helps his team that he's been rooting for since he, can remember, win a World Series. There's no way he could ever lose his job. And he goes to the Chicago Cubs and decides to take on that challenge. And why does he do it? Exactly that. It's a challenge. And this is something where if you look at it from Nate Nazer's perspective, Overwatch League is already a success for sure. I mean, you look at what the league is doing and building into, the amount that they are selling as far as sponsorship ads and everything else, they are doing so well. Maybe he
Bud Light and Coke as the two biggest.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, that's
sorry to cut you off.
So you have
Sour Patch Kids.
You have already set this thing in motion that is going to be going in a way that you think it's going to be successful. Maybe he sees what's happening at Epic, because Epic is in a very delicate spot right now as far as their esports is concerned with Fortnite. And now that they're bringing in another one that hasn't been the most successful, but is such a fun thing to watch too. So when you look at bringing in Psyonix and bringing in Rocket League. So you have these other two IPs that he sees something that maybe he could potentially can create something even greater than what he was able to do with Overwatch League. Maybe that is part of what is the draw for him, because when you're a guy like Nate Nazer, when you have all of that power as a commissioner, because that's what the commissioner is they are the be-all end-all.
Well, and think of the contacts that he has after forming the Overwatch League for the last 2 years. Think of those contacts.
That are now his contacts that he's the one bringing into something else. It goes from being something that he was a part of to being he's the reason that this other thing is happening, something that he took that wasn't going in necessarily a good direction, that now is going to go in a great direction. So I think for as far as Nate is concerned, like, this makes a lot of sense if that's the type of person he is. And from when I met him, he seems like a guy who likes good challenges and is somebody who is really accepting of trying other things. I mean, he obviously was somebody who accepted the flack of commissioner with no problem at all. That's for sure. And I mean, I forget who it was who said it, but there's a commissioner who said, you're not really a commissioner until you've been booed by the fans of the.
That was definitely Slasher. I'm not even joking. That definitely was him.
Yeah.
And I would like to know what the thoughts are across the pond. I'd like to hear from Anna. Talk to a while.
Yeah, hi. I had a very similar idea. Like, I saw a lot of people talking on Twitter about it and just being like, it must be money. Like, Nate's kind of screwing over the Overwatch League by leaving, and I don't think it's that negative at all. I do agree that it's kind of more of a, sort of like comparing it to IT, kind of like a project management thing. He set up the ground rules. He knows that the Overwatch League is working. his baby has flown the nest, and now he's kind of moving on to do the same elsewhere.
I want and I hope to think that that's the case.
Yeah.
I just like it's hard. It's in and of itself. Okay, I can see it being like, okay, you know what? I agree with what you said. Nate Nazer is just trying to, accept a new challenge, has seen the Overwatch grow to where it is, wants to move on to bigger and potentially better things. But the cynical part of my mind is like, man, Activision in the last 2 years has really screwed over a lot of people, has pissed off a lot of people. A lot of people got fired. There's reports that there's going to be more people leaving Overwatch League. Even at the beginning of the season, it was kind of a skeleton crew that let go of a lot of people.
Hold on. Overwatch League didn't let go of a lot of people.
Okay, Blizzard, Activision Blizzard.
Blizzard,
yes,
Blizzard let go of a lot of people. There's very few Overwatch people that actually lost their jobs.
Sure.
I mean, I think the weirdest part is out of all the people they didn't keep on to have for more than a full the full second season is the commissioner. They didn't hold him down to a contract or anything like that. I don't know.
I kind of agree with you on that.
It's I don't know what contracts for other commissioners are, but you think they would at least make him stay till the end of season 2? If
it probably has a buyout clause.
I'm gonna say the biggest ball drop is not bringing Mama Rosa and esports makeup on to season 2 because Danny was looking a little greasy for all of stage 1, and that's the makeup people right there. I'm not kidding you. They literally dumped their makeup people who everybody loved.
Yeah,
that was the only drop that I saw.
Yeah, a lot of the players were like, "Oh my god, we're gonna miss you so much," and some of the casters as well.
Yeah, they were huge for the social media too.
Yeah.
And I did misspeak. I didn't mean to say Overwatch League. I meant Blizzard in general. Which I mean, regardless, if I'm at a company, even if it's not my my division or my, team that's getting cut, when I see a bunch of other people getting fired or getting let go and things happening at the, the corporate level that maybe I don't agree with entirely, maybe I start looking into the other, maybe I start returning those emails from Epic Games. I think that it will be painted as a good thing, but the cynical part of me is just man, what's this? This might just be you see, it's oh man, the waves are coming in a little bit strong right now. It's probably nothing. Let's just go swimming.
Well, Nate was I said 2-2, you didn't do it, so I'm out.
Are we going to see Fortnite League now, regionalized Fortnite teams? That's going to be.
Oh no, there's no way. No. 4-man squads, no, they could barely get it to work with 6 half the time.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make the game competitive first, not allow console crossplay.
I don't think it's console crossplay. The console crossplay is not the problem.
Those guys are playing against console people and people on their phones.
There are good players that play console.
Yeah.
If what you're saying is you don't want the pro game should not be on the live server where you're just jumping in and trying to get as many kills as you can on a live game, which they've done a lot. But well, we don't need to get into the Fortnite esports. What I will say is that if I am from Fortnite side or from Epic Games side, if I am you know what? We're making the concerted effort. We're not going to go and just try to market to 12-year-olds. We're going to try. I said that sarcastically, but I didn't mean it to come off.
We're going for 14 and 15-year-olds as well.
What I mean is, if I don't
for the Fortnite community,
if we're not, if I'm not just going to try to have partnerships and do skins and dances and stuff, and I want to actually do legitimate esports and not just do these tournaments and just call it esports and put a bunch of money into it, I would probably try to hire Nate Nazer. So
I was
mean,
Tim Sweeney, I would do looking at the Overwatch League, I would do everything I could to get Nate Nazer to fix my
we're back
esports.
to money.
Yeah,
I mean, though they'd also have to actually release Fortnite as a game first because it's still technically in beta.
Is it?
Yes, it's still beta. I don't know, but when you boot it up, it says still in beta. So
That's just so that you can't
Weird.
complain about how bad it is.
yeah,
But yeah, we don't need to go too much further into Fortnite esports, and
Well,
No.
we do want to cover at least one more big topic here before we get into the Q&A section, and that, of course, is these latest PTR patch notes. We have quite a few big changes here, and let's just start off with McCree. McCree got a big change. His Peacekeeper, his primary fire, the recovery rate is reduced from 0.5 seconds to 0.4 seconds. The comments from the developer are as follows. On average, McCree's damage output wasn't quite making up for the relatively low mobility or utility in his kit. Reducing his weapon's recovery time improves the potential damage output without affecting the number of successful shots to kill an enemy. So I've seen some videos of this McCree fire rate.
Ridiculous.
It is
It looks
pretty
insane.
crazy. It's like, yeah, okay, it's only a 0.1 change. It's from 0.5. That's a 25%.
Until you shoot it.
It's a 20% reduction in speed, even if it's only 0.1
Times
seconds.
6. Yeah,
so
times 6.
Pine's coming back into meta. Yeah.
Yeah.
You stole mine.
What do you guys think about this McCree? Does this PTR McCree change things up? What are your thoughts on it?
On certain maps, I think it's going to change some things up. Like on Control, some of the different maps. Right now, Goats is still going to get played. You might maybe throw in a DPS in a Goats comp, I guess. Because he does a lot of damage in a short period of time now. I mean, I'm a terrible DPS player too, and I actually could build my ult and like I was like, wow, I'm like an Overwatch League player building my ult up. I'm like, I got high noon in like 4 seconds here.
Well, it's got to be high noon
ridiculous
somewhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it could. I think it could change some things up. Like for sure, like some of the teams that don't run straight 3-3 are going to use this to their advantage, especially teams with good hit scan players. I think teams like even Shanghai, maybe obviously people are going to go to Chengdu, but I think a team like New York, like everyone's saying with Pine, could use something like that, or maybe London. You could use this on certain maps, but overall, Goats is still going to kick everything's ass at some point. I mean, right now,
Yeah.
Without 222. I mean, I like playing it because I'm a horrible DPS player, and if I can build my ult and look like a fucking hero, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I always love seeing McCree. He's one of the most hype heroes that you can see actually played when he comes out, and you see those alt cancels just to reload a little bit faster. The Pine clips. I mean, Big Boss Pine was originated with McCree. Can't ask for better than that. I mean, does anyone think that maybe this can kill Goats?
Unfortunately, with how
No.
we talked about how strong Goats is, like I don't think one character like McCree could do it. Like maybe
What if he shot
stop
out
Sombra.
Torbjorn's?
Yeah, I think this
If he shot Torbjorn, yeah, sure.
This
Then that
could
0.4
be,
seconds.
Hammering Torbjorns. He has to shoot hammering Torbjorns.
yeah, this could be the Hunter's nerf. This could be
That's true.
Jinmu getting screwed because he's the only one that plays Pharah.
Ooh, that's also true. And if New York's
point.
going to get Chengdu, they know what to do to stop that.
Yep.
Pine gets to play in stage 3. Hey.
Oh, man, I hope so. That Pine training
Yeah, he
card
gets-
isn't going to go up in value if he sits the bench.
He gets subbed in for one round, and they send him off, and then the entire team's like, "Oh, it was nice seeing you. Bye."
That's fine. That's you know what? I'm fine. I am fine with Pine only coming in like once a map, once for one map a set. It's just so hype when he comes in. It's great.
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing of this patch is the assault match, the assault map change.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's,
Less snowballs
yeah.
and less time. Like, how many times have you guys been on an assault map? Point
And it had
one.
been over before you revived?
No. Point one. You guys hold it till overtime. You're like, yeah, we did a really good job. And then 4 minutes.
Hanamura
pop.
for like a day and a half.
Yeah, 4 minutes pop on the clock. So I think that's a big change.
I mean, that and then also the fact that, like, them making it so then when you die, everybody who died as a defender gets reset to 3.5 seconds. That's huge because as a Winston player, I will jump on the point, specifically waste their time, die, and then not be able to make it back for the defense on the second point. So, like, that's nice for me. I don't know how useful that'll be in Overwatch League where, like, that doesn't mean that much to some people.
Well, I mean,
you'll see more last-minute contests. For sure.
Yeah, and the snowball is definitely real in the Overwatch League too. But Spider, you were saying last minute contests?
The last-minute contests are really going to change with this change if they get this in by stage 3. But honestly, we're probably looking at like stage 4 at this point.
They totally are putting this in stage 3. You're crazy.
You think so?
I know.
I haven't heard.
I kind of think so.
I would hope so, but yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so. But yeah, because it basically, to his point, like, if you jumped in late, you were basically playing the game mode wrong. Because you were staggering yourself, you were setting your whole team up for basically a loss. And that just exponentially went up as the ranks went up to Overwatch League. So I think this is a good change. I actually still think the Diva change is the biggest change. Just because the nerf to Defense Matrix is like a 70% nerf to her volume. I mean, I don't think it's enough to really
33% nerf.
It's a 33% nerf to time or distance, but it's a 70%.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Volume.
Because it's a cone. Yep, you were exactly right. My
so
bad.
If you take the whole area around her that she used to be able to Defense Matrix, she loses over 70% of that volume. So
you make a really good point.
It's bigger than most people think. And there's a new graphic, so it's much more noticeable now. So at least for me, I had trouble seeing the Defense Matrix when it was up. So I kind of had to really look for it and stuff, and it would get lost in, Moira's and all that stuff, which Overwatch League pros probably don't have that problem. But I think that is the biggest change, because I think that's going to make it much harder for divas to play more aggressive. They're going to have to position a lot more aggressively and get punished more for it. So I think that is the biggest intrinsic change. I do agree that the assault changes are very big, but it only affects one map type out of 4 that we're seeing in Overwatch League. So,
and that's also a big debuff to dive if you wanted to do dive too.
The only counter argument I've come up with that is that makes Zarya that much stronger. Like it does help goats as well as hurt goats. So now that you have the smaller defense matrix, Zarya gets a little bit of a buff off there. But I think people are underestimating how big of a difference this diva change is going to be. Like, if you've listened to any of the diva players,
you just pointed it out to me. So yeah, I think a lot of people are definitely not thinking about that.
I haven't thought. I play a lot of diva, and I hadn't thought about it at all. Like, I looked at it and went, okay, so 15 meters to 10 meters. On paper, that doesn't seem like much, and I find it really hard to kind of visualize. I can't play on the PTR because I play a lot of console, and my laptop just cannot run Overwatch. Sad face. So on paper, I think, well, I can't really picture that. But then remembering it's a cone and thinking about that 70%, I'm terrified.
I think it's something that affects the Overwatch League more than it does some of the lower levels because of how Defense Matrix is used at the highest levels, especially when you consider that Graviton Surge is already one of the hardest alts to eat, because I forget what pro player it was that posted this to Twitter, but they posted a clip showing that one, Graviton Surge comes out before the voice line happens. So it is so much about reaction timing and just predicting to even eat a grab. So now you've just limited the amount of range that you have to try and eat that. It just became so much harder. So, Fury's still going to be good regardless, I think, anyways. But Diva's been part of every single meta for the most part. Yeah. So any chance that maybe try and get her out and try and push something else in would be nice. So I'm okay with that change for sure.
Yeah, there was it wasn't a dev update. It was it was Jeff Goodman on a streamer residency and just kind of chatting to one of the streamers. And he mentioned a few months back that they were desperate to try and take D.Va away from the Overwatch League a little bit because she is played in nearly every match. Mm-hmm. And they were like, we can't... They were having a really tough time nerfing her. They'd wanted to do it for some time, but they didn't want to do it in such a way that would harm her too much. And they were like, Defense Matrix is her most powerful piece of kit, so it will probably be that, but they weren't sure. So we'll see how this one plays out.
Oh, and to give you why I say that this is definitely in stage 3 is because Jeff did an interview with Stylosa, and he said we would have the replay system in stage 3, which just you put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah,
that's coming with the patch. So these changes are going to be in as well.
Hey guys, sunrise.
A whole new world.
It's closer. It's so close to high noon for you.
No!
Well, they didn't give you those guns to throw them away like trash.
The one thing I will say, I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I didn't. Spider, you bring up a really good point of the impact being, I think, greater than a lot of people, myself included, actually realized.
Really good point.
I think it does reduce some of the key impact. It also reduces, I think it does affect Overwatch League a lot, but I also think it affects the lower levels as well, because I can't rely on my defense matrix as a crutch like I used to. Like, I used to would just keep it out all the time and be like, oh, I'm stopping a decent amount of stuff, even though I'm really not good, and I should be doing this better. Now it's like I've got this very limited resource that is much smaller, and I'm blocking so much less now. I think it's gonna
as it should be, though.
Right. I don't disagree.
Think about when you use it.
I think someone like Poco is not going to be effective about it as much. Like, I think he'll be able to adjust, but somebody on Diamond or below is definitely going to struggle because they don't get the wiggle room anymore.
Right, and I think we're going to see fewer of these, like, holy crap, he ate the grav, because it's going to be just harder to catch it. What I will say is that D.Va has gone through many iterations and has been nerfed and buffed and re-nerfed and has pretty much always stuck around in one form or another. So I feel like
she'll still be around.
Didn't they say that about
as long as she's mobile, she's going to be around.
Yeah, as long as you can fly anywhere and negate anything an enemy shoots at you.
Yeah,
Defense Matrix.
That's pretty good.
If they want to like get her out of the league and nerf her to, put her into like Symmetra land, they have to get rid of the boosters. I mean, that would be the only way to really negate D.Va's power in any. I mean, these guys are going to figure out that the whole smaller matrix thing. They'll figure out how to use it at some point. I won't. I will suffer and die in silver playing D.Va over and over again.
Yep.
But the point is the mobility is the whole thing with D.Va. I mean, Roadhog's a big meat bag. I mean, he's got essentially the same amount of hit points, plus he has the breather. But the problem is he does not move as fast as her. So that's their whole thing, is she can move around. I mean, granted, it's going to be smaller. They'll figure out how to use it. In my opinion, they'll figure out how to use it. Maybe they won't use her as much.
So are you saying give Roadhog boosters? Like,
oh yeah,
give him wings.
Like he farts so he can shoot up.
No. Let Roadhog wall climb.
No, let Roadhog use.
Roadhog
you can
wall
take
climb. Oh my
his
God.
hook and shoot it into the ground underneath you, and he shoots up like it's a rocket-propelled hook that can fire
No, he
him
just
up.
swings it around like a
Yeah,
helicopter.
no. He's got to lasso himself places.
Oh, yeah, he spins it so fast it's like a helicopter. I like that one the most.
Oh god.
Those are all great ideas.
Jump pack.
Someone-
jetpack
Okay,
guy.
okay. Anyone that's workshop coding, can we get on this?
Someone make the workshop.
Let's go. Flying Roadhog.
We
Oh,
also
what's the
had,
first character?
When
we also
roadhogs
had-
fly.
we had a couple.
We
other-
have an episode called When Hogs Fly, and we spoke about this exact same thing, including the helicopter.
I mean, someone did early on in the workshop. Someone did like retune the Roadhog hook to where it was like the Widow hook.
That's frightening.
That's terrifying.
I'm just imagining that giant man.
That's awesome.
You just look out, and the Numbani sun is blocked out by a Roadhog, just falling.
Hey, he's not fat. He's big boned.
He's also fat. We've got we're gonna be cutting over to Twitch chat and Twitter questions in just a few minutes. So if you are in Twitch chat, throw your questions in, or you can go on Twitter and tweet the hashtag OWLPodQ, and we will be taking as many questions as we can in just about 5 minutes. One last thing I wanted to talk about here in the Overwatch and Overwatch League world was something that is very near and dear to my heart personally, and that's Overwatch League trading cards. They're coming out.
Hell yeah.
They've partnered with Upper Deck, one of the OGs of trading cards back from the 90s, and I believe maybe even the 80s as well. We're getting on June 18th, which is 2 days before my birthday, just for an event.
That's one day before mine. So
Do you have a PO box? Do you want to plug a PO box as well?
You want to send your cards? Send them to.
If you want to
High
send
Noon
boxes, I
Podcast.
want to do some box opening streams. Where I
Yeah,
just
see, Blevins, do you have a PO box? Because I
No.
literally asked on Al Recap for someone to send me cards.
I don't even know
and
what a
then
PO box is.
People
I mean, I know
offered
what
to
it
send
is.
me cards, and I was like, "Oh, I
Wait,
would
you
have to
can't-
give you
you
my
can't-
address. I'm not doing that." So, if you're asking for this, think about how you will receive them.
I don't care if someone has them. I'll give you my home address, and you know what? I'll unlock my door, and I'll
Yeah.
start making. But I mean,
You're a brave man, my friend. Brave man.
Oh, that's a word.
but yeah. On the less creepy talking point, what do you guys think about trading cards? I'm so pumped. I love
I'm in.
the trading
I
cards.
can't wait to waste more money on cardboard than I have in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm older, so like in the early '90s, I was way into. I did mostly football and hockey and basketball, but I would go to card shows. I was into the Upper Decks shit. I got into I think I talked about it on one of our shows. I got into a weird argument with Alonzo Mourning about a Upper Deck card when he was graduating from Georgetown. It's a whole thing. It was nearly
Hold
a big.
on, hold on. Here's a question for you then.
All right,
Should they include a stick of gum?
no gum screws
No.
up the cards, man.
And
Dude, okay.
I would rather chew the cards than that
You
gum.
were
Holy
older,
shit.
but like tops always.
No, you need a
came with
redeeming
stick of
code.
gum.
Yeah, I always
Yeah,
I always
we
threw
need
that
skin
card out.
codes,
Yeah.
man. We
Yeah,
need
like-
in-game gum. I don't want real gum. I want in-game gum
Yeah.
for my players to chew.
You let your character chew gum if you get the in-game code.
Oh, you get the in-game code, and it's
Chew.
single use.
This episode
like you
brought
can
to you by
spit
Big
it
League
at, you
Chew.
can spit it out, and it stays there, but it's gone. So you have to like keep putting in the codes to get more gum. You like have a gum inventory.
I was thinking league tokens, but yeah, sure, let's go with gum.
No, let's just
Yeah.
do gum, because you know what? What are sprays if not gum? What's the difference?
What
between the two?
if you get tokens, but you
That's a
can
good
buy
point, man.
gum with the
Ooh.
tokens?
Wait. A code with the spray of the trading card.
So basically, we can make the.
Oh! My mind has been blown.
Mind blown. You just killed Blevin.
He broke
I
Blevin.
see him.
I want that so bad now. And like you can have like here's the thing. Okay, if they just have the regular set, like 150 cards, whatever, that's cool. But I want I want autographs. I want 101s. I want game
Cut up
used. I want
jersey.
game used DX
Yes.
racers. I want game used. I want game used. Like I want all the cool things.
I want
the,
monitor
like,
chunks put into the damn cards and shit. I
Yes.
want all that stuff.
Yes, I want like the reverse foil card. Like I want rare shit in there.
You want a shiny?
I want to basically be fueling my degenerate gambling addiction while I'm opening these boxes, okay? I don't want to just collect. I don't care about that. I want to get something that's rare, that's collectible. I want cool shit. I don't want...
I want the reverse foil swoosh Ricky card. That's
Yes.
all I want.
Oh no, I want swoosh.
That's
I don't
my
know if
Ricky
that's
card.
possible, but I want that.
I want the pro outbreak big boss pine reverse foil 101 card. That's like the special like I want that. I want to be able to buy an old Beckett magazine and see how much the pine card is worth. Like, I want all that stuff. Bring it all.
That was life for me for a while, man.
It was life for me when I was
the
like
internet.
8 to 10 years old, man. Like those were like all the way up until middle school. That was my life. And then here's the other thing I want that I don't think is going to happen, but on a somewhat more serious note, I mean that was all serious. I actually do want all that stuff, but like they're doing like they did mention that they're doing at least some of it is going to be like online as well. Like you can collect online and you can get the real cards too. I want them to have like, even if it's not actual fantasy, like I'm fine. HighNoon.gg does a great job with their fantasy. Give me something like where we can have like I can collect the cards and have some sort of game, even if it's not like it doesn't need to be like Hearthstone. It can be like, oh, I've got the the season 1 big hitter pine card that's got like a 99 stats and like do like a little like weekly thing. I don't know. Give me something.
Do you
Give me
guys
some
have
sort of
top
game.
trumps
So we're
in
back-
the US?
I was about to say, like, no, Top Trunks is not a thing in the U.S. You're
I
gonna
don't
have to
know what
explain.
that is.
Okay, so Top Trumps is you can get it for various things. So there's like Doctor Who sets, there's Pokemon sets, there's various like TV animations, but they're all basically just you get a set pack of cards, and every card in the pack has slightly different stats. And then you like to play the game, you shuffle the set of cards, divide it between however many are playing, and then you call out a stat. So say attack.
So you're doing racing cars. You got your acceleration, your top speed, and your wins or something like that.
And it like varies depending on like what set they're doing. And you call your stat, which you think is going to be the highest, and then the other one calls it, and then whoever has the top trump wins.
I
But
mean,
yeah, no,
give me
that-
something, because
Yeah,
like
no,
I
That's
so,
dangerous.
well,
I'd
so
be
here's
off on
the,
that.
here's the thing. Like, I get like I think that from Upper Deck side, like, and maybe I may just not have as much knowledge of the trading card industry as I once did, but like the demographic for trading cards is much older than what the demographic for Overwatch League is. Like you're getting a lot of older people that are buying cards. You know, people who collected when they were younger and continued. Like you've seen the prices of these booster boxes are going up and up because it's not like the demographic is not like.
Hold on.
every
What
kid
do you
is-
think the demographic for Overwatch League is?
I don't know, younger.
I was about to say, I would say like
25
18.
to 35.
Okay, so you're hitting in the perfect range then.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
25 to 35 is the actual demographic Overwatch League.
Okay, that's great. So people who are 25 to 35 now. So I'm like in the middle of that, and I was on the tail end of collecting baseball cards. So like if you're younger than I am, you probably.
I thought I was on the tail end, and I'm on the lower end of that spectrum, like 20.
I'm way past the other end, so I'm not even going to get into
Right.
that.
So what I'm saying is like if you're always trying to get younger people to buy your product, like 'cause
Right.
that's the future, obviously. So like you're taking Overwatch League, you're taking baseball cards, you're merging, and you're trying to get a little bit of both ends. So I don't know, just anecdotally, the people who are like much younger than me didn't collect baseball cards, so there's not like the nostalgia of it. They don't like. I mean, they people collect things like Funko Pops and stuff, but those are more like displays. It's not like you're not like collecting these cards just to like. So I have my binder that's a full collection. You're either doing it because there's some sort of game associated with it. You're doing it because you want to resell them. You have some sort of thing, not just inherently buying the cards for the cards. So I want to see more out of the cards than just like, oh, well, I can say I've got 150 out of 150 and I got my binder and that's going in my closet and I'm happy that I did that. I want to see something more than that.
I'm not in the 25 to 30 age range. I'm younger. I'm 20, and I'll probably buy a couple packs of cards, but I'm not gonna try and complete a set or anything. I'll buy some and be like, oh, I got a super card.
But what if there was like a game or something associated with it? Would that be enticing at all?
Even then,
would it be more enticing than just like, oh, I got these 5 cards?
I'm not a card game guy. It'd be enticing for someone.
Yeah,
but
I want a full TCG. Like I want a WoW.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like Overwatch League TCG.
I mean, I do too, but that's not going to happen.
Do they have a Prophet God card? You just put it down at the end of the game.
I win.
Yep.
He's the only person on my 6-man team. And
You've activated my trap card. Now all of your cards are from the Mayhem.
You've activated my defense matrix. All your cards are mine.
You got poker. You're gonna blow up the moon. That's the best I got.
Oh, so good. That's really what I wanted. That's really all I ever want. But
all your cards belong to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But we do have a couple of questions in here from chat. We've got a question from Danta.
Hello.
Do you feel the panel... Oh, God. I'm not answering that question.
The
answer is maybe. Who knows?
Hey, Blevins, did you see the questions I posted?
Oh, okay. We've got some questions here from Twitch. How do you guys feel about Blizzard nerfing all support hero damage by a certain percent? Assume it can't be that easy, but it's okay. Yeah, we've got. How do you guys? I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but what do you guys think, just in general, about nerfing every support hero and every tank hero's damage across the board?
I don't know if you necessarily need to do support, but tank is something I definitely support.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're nerfing support, I would imagine maybe they meant support healing, because that I think across the board could be lower and would make the game a little bit better too.
Tank damage definitely I could see going down.
I think
Support
they were
damage.
talking about. I think they were talking about damage across the board, like just bringing their damage down.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, you think about it. Zen has an amazing amount of damage. Reinhardt has amazing damage. Zarya, Roadhog. I mean, even Diva. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I
there
think
is
a
a
lot
lot of damage.
I think a lot of the flex tanks or off tanks, as we're calling them, they could use a damage drop. I'm not really on with the support damage drop, but I think some of the problem is the tanks, like we were saying before, they do too much damage. Some of them, and the supports not so much. I mean, there's a lot of supports where you're really not. I mean, there's nobody playing Moira in Owl right now, really. I mean, on certain maps, certain things where you have a high damage output, she would probably be one of the ones. Zen, maybe, but there's a lot of skill involved in the amount of damage you can put out with Zenyatta.
I mean, okay, but Moira was like OG of the GOATS comp. Like GOATS comp was Moira before.
But it was never her
Zenyatta.
damage that put her in that.
No,
It was the healing. It was the
Definitely.
healing spikes that she had, or the burst healing.
Yeah, and the AoE healing.
I'm not saying give Moira more damage. No,
Don't give her more damage, and don't give her more healing either. Like if you nerf Zenyatta's damage, that one maybe not as much would be bad, but the rest of the supports really don't do much damage. So I don't see where there would be the benefit of nerfing their damage. That's why I thought maybe they meant for the supports, maybe they meant to say healing, because healing across the board is still really high, and that is something that is a legitimate issue.
I mean,
Moira has the lowest damage of any healer but the most people doing damage. Like,
Well, you got to
but
remember.
I guess
she
we're
has
talking
some
about
stuff.
Al though. Like, so
Yeah,
that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in Al. It just happens on ladder, and it makes me cry.
So you're saying I'm a better Moira than anyone in all. Got it. Got there.
I like what you did there.
We got another question here from Twitter. Major
Look, I think it is. Major Look.
I got
Major
so
Look.
gotted by that.
Yeah,
Major Look.
yeah.
Wow, I'm stupid. You got
English
me.
is hard.
I just got bamboozled there. Who do you think will have the biggest turnaround in stage 3? I'm assuming we're talking about teams, not players.
That's what I think too.
Mayhem has the biggest potential, but I don't see them delivering on it.
That is actually their new corporate slogan.
Could improve, might not.
I think Toronto has a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I was going to go with
Yeah.
Toronto too.
They got kind of lost in stage 2, but if they can find their team, their starters, how they work
They can get
together,
their
I think they
stride
could
back.
get a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually.
Or Washington.
Washington's a good choice.
Talked to Bishop, like, was it last week? Last week, because I was at an event there, and he's got some stuff that they're working on. Like, they had some internal stuff that was going on that they're working through, and it looks like things are going to be good for this stage, just from the little bit of insight I got there. So I'm obviously biased, but I'm thinking Toronto's probably my pick for biggest turnaround here in terms of changes from stage 2 to stage 3.
I definitely agree too. I was a fan of Toronto in stage 1. I think Stellar leaving last stage kind of threw them off, and they had to kind of scramble around and try and do something. Mm-hmm. So, and their schedule wasn't exactly, easy.
Right.
But I definitely think, especially with the moves that they've made. I mean, I don't know exactly what they're doing with Envy or whatever's going on with their tank line or anything like that right now, but it seems like they're going to make a move where they're going to kind of go back up into the, I would say top 10 instead of, they had a horrible stage, but I think they're going to go back up in the top 10, maybe go into the stage playoffs again. That would be my pick for them as well.
No fuel call, Bob.
Well, we're 5-2. What are they gonna go? 7-0 or whatever.
All right, let's not get crazy.
Right. That's
not
really
I was really hoping you were going to take that bait because the turnaround would be that they go 2-5.
Like, we don't have to defend it. Like, Fuel's good now.
Yeah, I think Toronto is a good call. They have a relatively easy schedule. They have a couple of harder games. They'd probably be my pick too. You can make a point for the Mayhem. They may have a turnaround. Even the Charge schedule isn't hard, and they were a team that showed promise in stage 1 and then kind of dropped off in stage 2. So there's a lot of teams that I could see having a good turnaround. I think if we're looking at like the opposite direction, I actually think Chengdu is going to have a bad stage 3.
I'm with you on that.
They have a tough schedule, and they've been slowly declining. So I think if you're looking at turnarounds, not necessarily in the positive direction, I think Chengdu is probably the one we're going to be most worried about, at least from my point of view.
I think you're wrong.
Oh? Why?
Say it like you mean it.
Because, no one.
Did you see how many Chengdu players got voted to the All-Star game?
That's the biggest problem. Chengdu has taken a couple maps from the fucking best. Well,
Outlaw took a map from the Titans. That doesn't mean shit if they don't win the game.
Yeah. Either way, Outlaws, one of the shittiest teams in the fucking league, took a map from Titans because the Titans didn't know how to play against it. Huge. So Chengdu still is going to be 50-50 because no one has any clue how to fucking scrim against them. And when they do scrim against them, it's almost like a joke. Like, no players take it seriously.
Chengdu's getting their actual, like, the person that they wanted playing main tank into the fold of the team too. Like that's something
good
else to be
point. Good
considered
point.
for
Oh my god, I
Chengdu.
didn't even think
So,
about that.
I
They got
don't
all
know.
those.
I don't see them as being one that would be going the other way. I think Boston is somebody that people should consider as maybe going upward after they had a kind of rocky end of their stage. I mean,
You
this
gotta
is
say
a
that
team
like
with
Boston. Boston.
listen, I'm from Chicago. Okay, we kind of
Feckin' Boston.
Well, I'm from Boston.
But yeah, no, like,
There, Chicago, they do things a little differently. Okay, so
I love it.
it's just a little bit different. But that would be one that I think, as far as going up, as far as down, I mean, Seoul is still kind of a weird team and sort of in a flux. Like, I still don't know what's going on with them. And
To play Fisher or not to play Fisher?
well, I actually like Marvell. I actually was a big proponent of him being the main tanks over Fissure. I know that's crazy. Not many people have said that, but I mean, I thought Marvell was not one of their issues. I thought that their issues were in other areas. So that is one that could potentially be one that goes the other way. I don't know. So the middle of the pack is really weird because teams could go up, teams could go down. There's just this giant blob, and you could either be at the ass end of it or you can be at the top. And even if you're at the ass end, you can probably still beat anybody at the top.
I mean, the only other person I can think of other team I can think of is the Valiant. What do you guys think about the potential with them? Because they did trade a lot of people for Fate.
I think
chance of them moving up?
I think they stay where they're at. They're kind of integrating a whole bunch of people into their lineup.
Yeah,
they're going to be.
They're making
15
5-year moves, not one stage moves. Like
exactly, they're trying to be the shock.
They're trying to be the best
for the future
in the Overwatch League.
The Custom News Network is definitely something you guys should check out for the Valiant.
I've seen that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is good. And he's smarter than, Goats Cup, so, or at least.
Yeah, I totally tried to pull out of him. Like, I was at the bar.
Someone clip that. Someone clip Bob saying, I totally tried to pull out of him, please.
I was trying. Custom.
Guys, thank you for coming.
Starting over you. Tell me. And he goes, no comment. See, he's trained me well. And I was like, come on. We are friends here. I'm not going to report this. And he was like, no comment. I was like, all right, well, I'll buy you a beer. What do you want? And that was literally how it went. But, like, I'm pretty sure like there was some dissent in there, and that's why Custa wasn't starting at the start of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think, at 0-7 in the first stage, and then not. I don't even remember how many. Would they get 2 wins in stage 2?
2 or 3.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out, right? They're maybe not
They
mathematically
are not out because of the
mathematically
new
out.
wild card shit. So they are not out.
They've got a shot. But if I'm
It's a very slim one.
If I have the option, to build something for next season or for this season, if I'm in the LA Valiant spot, I'm going for next season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
same thing with the Mayhem in
like,
Washington and a couple of those teams. You got to build for next year. Even after you had an abysmal stage 1, it's pretty much over.
Right.
Because you're not going to go back from that.
Like, something you have to think about, though, is this season we have something we did not have last season. We have a chance for bottom feeders to get into the playoffs with a single tournament, which last year was the stage 4 finals. This year is going to be the stage 4 finals are taken over by who makes it into the grand playoffs.
I agree.
It's going to be a huge, that playoff is going to be huge.
It's like 7-12, right?
13.
While
crazy.
that is true, what I postulate is that if you're not a top 3 to 5 team, you might as well be the bottom team in terms of popularity in terms of social, because it's like at the end of the
Dude,
day,
I
the
don't
Overwatch
know,
League team is
Blevins.
not just about winning, because it doesn't matter, right?
Last year, if Dallas had made it into the grand finals, they might have had a chance to win it.
Yeah,
They could. Yeah,
Okay.
think. Yeah, think.
but
think
how popular,
dominant
how
they
successful
were
of a
in-
team?
My aunt
is
had
one
balls.
of
She'd
the-
be my uncle too.
Okay.
But you know,
I'm sorry. Wait.
Well,
Okay.
to Bob's point, though, winning, and to go what you're saying, Blevins, winning goes along with popularity. Teams that win tend to end up being popular teams.
except for Houston. I said it.
Hi.
Sorry.
Houston's a special case.
won-
though.
they won a lot
Listen, the
in
Chicago
the
Cubs
start.
existed for a long time as the lovable losers, right?
True. Yeah.
So you can be the lovable losers and still be extremely popular. I think the point is that if you're a team building for the future, there's no reason to think that you can't win now because of the ability to get in with the play-on games, but also the ability to still win stage 3. So there's still prize money that's on the line. You can still see with what you're building if these things are worth it, if they can maybe squeak their way into a playoff spot that they otherwise probably shouldn't have. So I think if you're just bottoming out, that makes no sense because
Well, I don't
you're
think
not
they're
seeing
bottoming
anything
out. I just think that like you're not necessarily picking the best players for this meta or that are going to be super good right now. It's like, oh, let's invest in players that are more well-rounded that we can hone in on at another time. I don't know. Maybe that's not what they're doing, because like I don't think that them losing is a good thing. I just don't think that like them going from being at the bottom of the pack to the middle of the pack does anything for them. I mean, yes, they can win a stage playoff, but who cares? Like,
I think to your point though, if you look at the best players that you would want to build with, those are players that are going to be able to transition to those other roles that are relevant right now, no problem. I mean, look at Prophet, look at Sominsu, look at Sinatra. Like
Prophet's one of the best DPSs in the league, though.
and,
Come on.
and he's still a good Zarya. So, but that's my point, though.
He transcends above a lot of the players in the league, though.
You know what he doesn't transcend above, though? New York Excel sandbagging, as we saw in the All-Star game.
yeah. Well, we could certainly go on about this ad nauseum, but we are running up close to time. We've got one last question here from chat, and we can be relatively quick with this one. With the new replay system being added, which Overwatch League player or players will be negatively impacted by being able to watch these replays available in Season 3? For example, the Brig bot hydration.
I was going to say the Brigbot Zachary, but, you know, because I've actually seen Seagull pick him apart in last year's All-Stars game. Like, who's not doing anything?
Hey, who gets
it's
exposed
Zachary.
here?
Right.
I mean,
I think it could be anybody on any given week. I think everybody's going to have their bad game. So,
quite honestly, what the World Cup viewers showed me was Sinatra fed in last year's World Cup and did not protect Muma for shit and was basically a feeder the entire time. Everybody gave Zachary shit, but if you watch the replays, Sinatra was the problem. And
Also,
that's
Zachary was
what
the
we're
problem.
going to see. And like,
also, the team was the problem.
like literally Sinatra fed the entire time. Watch it. But so like it's not going to be huge for the Overwatch League because I think people are watching that quite a bit. It's going to be fucking huge for you playing with your friends and be like, why the fuck did you do this?
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be great when somebody misses their grab and you get to call them out on it every single time. Yeah.
Let's improve toxicity in Overwatch. People able to analyze your every move.
It will be constructive toxicity.
Well, it's like at least your friends get to call you out instead of just some random stranger.
Yeah.
It's time to look inward.
I want to say coaching staffs will be the ones that are more going to get shown at how bad they are with the use of the tool. Because
No, the coaching staffs have had it.
If they've had it, then
They've had it all.
They're worse than we thought.
All
Most of them
do. They had it.
Well, if that's the case, then
Yeah, it's
He said on an interview that they've had it the whole time. It was just a networking issue to get it out to the majority of people. So internally, they've had it this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All I can confirm is it was in stage 2 for sure.
Yeah, I know about the Stage 2 one, and people were talking about it, but like for the Overwatch League, I don't see it to be that huge of a thing because I'm pretty sure they have VODs and spectators recorded for them. I don't know 100% on that one, but like I feel like they have enough resources to be able to look at their stuff and figure out who's doing what during scrims as well.
If you okay, so like we've talked about over this broadcast, we've talked about how the coaching staffs on the teams are kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
So with this, they're going to be able to watch YouTube videos of amateurs talking about what they did wrong, and these coaches are going to learn, and they are going to adapt, and they are going to get better.
Hold up, was Season 2 just outsourced to the crowd?
Yes.
Workshop replays, that seems to be a going theme now.
Stage 3, we can all go and make our own videos critiquing what went wrong and what didn't.
Yep.
And then these coaches
We'll all find coaching jobs over the current coaches.
Yes.
Reddit's going to be employed. Let's go.
But I mean, I think it's actually going to help the coaches because us as content creators, they're like they do watch us, they do follow us on Twitter, they do follow this, so they are going to be able to grow with us, and I think that's a cool thing.
I mean, it'll definitely up the ante, yeah.
I do think it is a huge boon for content creators.
Being
able to do that, it's amazing for sure, and being able to see alternate lines, alternate sites, and angles from some awesome plays is going to be really cool. Can't wait to see what people who are much more talented than me can put together for using these. But guys, that's going to be it for this podcast panel. I know we're all up very late, some up later than others in their time zone.
Good morning,
It's early. As I say, it's early at this point, right?
Right, it's early.
It's now
so
10 to 6 in the morning.
Oh, very nice.
Just in time for tea, yeah?
Breakfast.
About time to get some coffee. Or no, you have tea over there in Europe, right?
That's true. There's
We
no
have
coffee in Europe, actually.
They
No,
do
it's
have
tea
coffee
and
too,
coffee.
Bob.
Yeah,
They do have coffee. Contrary to popular belief.
Sorry, I just thought I would have a cup of tea.
All right.
We do
Well,
have
before we
Starbucks
hear
over
more
here
Blazing
as well.
Bob accents, let's cut this one to an end. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Huge shout-outs again to Totally Drunk for setting this up and getting everyone here. Really do appreciate this. We are, again, going to be doing these panels in between all of the stages while we have this nice downtime. What feels like 500 years in between Overwatch League matches.
Oh, it was better than the off season, let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
True. But, guys, that's going to be it. Thanks, everyone, for watching again. For everyone here on the panel and for everyone that was in the first panel, I am the Blevins. Thank you all, and we will see you guys in between Stage 3 and Stage 4. Bye-bye, everybody.
Later, guys.